As we wait for others, let me just welcome these ones. I want to welcome Sheila Bassa, Brenda Natai, Diana Kato, Makula Pictures, Margaret Orono. Welcome Jean. Jean is back. Bagonza Caroline. Welcome, guys. You can just Elsie Lutu, Maureen Osula, Moses, and another Moses Otua. Welcome. We can't hear you, but you can hear us. But feel free, if you have any question in advance, you just send it through as we wait for the rest of the group to start at 3. As is our culture, we will always start on time. So we'll be starting in the next 8 minutes.
You'll check your Gmail, you should have received it.
Welcome, James Walugembe.
All right, I've used no reply. So I've used the email note.
Welcome, Moses, another Moses. Welcome, Fiona Atkunda. That name is familiar to me. We are all set on our end. We'll just wait for the time to begin.
Pure water.
We have about 5 minutes. 5 minutes to go. Welcome, Justin. Welcome, another Moses. Welcome, Paula Simwe. Welcome, Stanley. Welcome, Justin Abok. So we kick off in the next 3 minutes. Welcome the LC1.
Hi, hi, my panelists. Where is Jean and where is Mr. Ronald? Okay, cool. Where is Ronald?
Ronald is camera shy. Welcome Godfrey Samakula.
Hi, panelists.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
We're delighted to have
Great.
you.
Good.
Enjoy yourselves. I'm off to be an attendee.
Hey.
Kale.
Welcome Rajab. Welcome Samuel. Welcome Odongping. Welcome guys. Welcome Vicky. Welcome Shan Owino. Yes, all these are coming in real time. Welcome Rachel Msulube. Yes. There is someone called NSSF Financial Intelligence Program. Welcome. They live by the...
I thought it was a program. It's also a person.
There's a person I've seen there. Welcome Joan Awino. Welcome Allen Arinaitwe. Enough, I can't, but thanks for the technology feedback. Someone is getting me on message, SMS, and telling me you need to stand up. Thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, in the next 2 minutes, we should be able to kick off our financial literacy webinar. Back with a bang. Welcome, Brian. Welcome, Constantine Oba. Welcome, Eric, Lina, Kagezi. If I don't mention your name, I'm not just a bad person, but I'm overwhelmed by the technology. Welcome, Kaga. Welcome, Rachel. Welcome, Jovan. Allow me to stop there welcoming you, and we officially kick off. I guess it is in order for the newcomers. On this platform, I go by the name Headmaster. So Headmaster usually has the last say on what to do. The chats are also coming in. Thank you for all the questions that are coming in. Please let them keep coming. Someone is summarizing and we'll get back to you with feedback. My name is Apollo, and I am your host for this day. I am not a speaker, I'm just a host, and allow us to start in the next 10 seconds. Thank you so much. I would ask Gloria, as we prepare to launch off, to just send through a poll As people settle in, we complete that poll. Let us have our KYC poll. Welcome everyone that has made it on time. I see 40 participants here. You are one of the very few people in Uganda that have keep time. You don't have to keep, you're not keeping time, but you are managing yourself over time. Kindly, let's go through that poll. Click one thing and submit. As a host and panelists, they are not voting. It's just your votes are the ones that are going to count. We want to know how this has been, how your life has been. Let's hear from you. Let us have your share. We are using about 1 minute to finish this. How have you been affected by the COVID lockdown period? Did you lose part of your salary? Did you lose all your salary? Did you lose your side income? Did you lose both? Or you never lost anything? Kindly let us know how you are. Did you utilize your savings? How is it that, how did you get through this COVID period? In my, over my period, I managed to encounter a few people in each of these segments. There are those as if COVID never happened. Things were okay. Kind of let us know so that we need that bit. Gloria, in the next 50 seconds, I think, in the next 30 seconds, you can close up that. And in the next 50 seconds, you can close out that. As people finalize on the on the poll, allow me to introduce the purpose of our program. This program is the Financial Intelligence Program, and we basically are out there to interact with your members on how we can utilize our funds. We are not talking about your NSSF funds. We are talking about the funds that are in your pocket. We are talking about what stays in your pocket after all the other things have gone. What are those things you need to start doing before you actually get your NSSF? Those are the funds we are talking about. And for today, I'm the host. If you're the host, you're called the director. So I like calling myself the director or the MD of people's pockets at NSSF. So I'm MD of people's pockets of all the other funds that are not NSSF funds. The government manages 12 trillion. I manage quite a little bit more. Those are our results today. So we do this through a number of programs, and this is one of the programs. We bring experts in different fields, in finance, personal finance, to talk about this. It always begins with talking. Then we launch it into action. Our programs are tailored right through talking, from talking to action. So today we are going to basically do a little bit of talking, sharing of experiences, hearing from the experts. What is it that should have happened, should happen, and should happen after? Ours is just an advisory role. Yours is the action part. Those are our poll results, and allow me before, as we go through these poll results, to invite a host, to invite the moderator for today's session. Our session is financial resilience during and after COVID. This is a person who is so senior in NSSF. I say that because that's where I'm employed. So I need to be in good books. Jean Mutakazi Kasiri Ahumza is going to be your moderator for that day. Jean, say hi. Jean, say hi.
Good afternoon, ladies. Yes, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I do hope I'm clear enough.
Yes, you are very clear. I want to hand you over to this panel for you to take us through the next bits with the results. The results are in. 9% lost their income. No one, part of their income. 34% lost their side incomes. 3% lost both their side and salaries. 31% were not affected at all, and 37% utilized their savings to go through this. So Jean, that is a group you are dealing with. Over to you to take us through.
Thank you so much, Apollo. And I was looking at the stats and my heart started beating. I wish I could vote as well. Good thing I don't have to vote. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're so excited to have you back in class. We've been missing class. As you can see, Apollo has been idle all this time. And so he's excited to say many, many things. Some false. But basically, just by looking at what the stats are showing, I must say that the heroes of the day are the people who say their income stayed intact. I am going to come to benchmark at your homes to see how you did this, because most of us were affected by COVID. I do say that the people who lost both incomes and salary, I must say you're in the right place today. So sit firm, open your notebook, because we're going to be in class together. And I want to hear the exciting stories from everyone else that falls in the other categories. What happened to me during COVID? I reverted to Bubu, buy Uganda, build Uganda, buy Uganda. So I'm wearing a Ugandan outfit as a starting point. No more imported clothes. We must support our economy. So right, let me get into this. My name is Jean Mutabazi. Apollo added other names. I don't know from where. Kasiri is my name. I don't know where he got the other names. I will ask you to see me after this meeting. And I work with a team of people to make sure that we deliver this message across the board. So what do we want to talk about today? It's very clear that the topic has been introduced, but I'll say that again. And the topic is basically financial resilience during COVID and after COVID. You people, I don't know if you're like me, but COVID swept me off my feet. I don't know if people stayed standing like solid rock. It's in the Bible where some people were on solid ground and others were on sinking ground. But don't worry, both of us are still here today. That's a good message for the day. So I'd like us to define a few terms today. When we say financial resilience, what do we mean? So basically, financial resilience, what comes to mind is that you do have the ability to take on the shocks, to withstand the shocks, either as an individual, as a family unit, as a community, or as a country. And in all the categories that I mentioned, I must say that the struggle was some ways similar, some ways very dissimilar. So with financial resilience, say at an individual level, if you are on your own and COVID came, because you're not in control of what your employer is going to do, for example, if you were downsizing, that meant that the score was not a very good score. So basically, the takeaway from here is financial resilience is ability to withstand shocks financially, sometimes in the short term, mid-term, or long term. What do we mean by the period of COVID? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say that the COVID period we refer to today is the day when our leader, the president, stood on the 23rd of March and closed schools. That's the day we start counting as the COVID period. It's been 72 days in COVID. Some of us were counting every day. We had a calendar. So we came and said, day one, like secondary school leavers. So just to make sure that how long this condition stayed in our lives. Currently, we're in post-COVID. So the panelists will be talking about those periods during COVID and post-COVID. During COVID are the 72 days. Post-COVID is what we're in now, when the economy is trying to recover. Businesses are going back to a little bit of business as usual, albeit slowly, because not everything has been opened up, but at least we're in the right track. Before I hand over to the panelists, I'd like to share a little bit about my story during COVID. And I remember I went to LinkedIn and said, guys, I'm in trouble. Some of my income streams have been affected. So we do have multiple income streams, because that's what Apollo teaches us in class. He says, if you live off your salary, you're in trouble. So what were the income streams that were affected? I do have interest in an Airbnb business. And we all know that Airbnb, the moment they stop international travel, while many people were there saying aeroplanes, me, my heart was skipping. It meant that there was no more foreign travel coming into this space. So what happened then? So my expatriates that used to come and live in my house for a week, for a month, stopped coming. So what do you do with that property when that happens? I had to think on my feet immediately. I said these things of waiting for the economy to recover might not happen. I removed the furniture immediately from the house and put it out for rent for a long-term tenant, despite the fact that that also comes with risks of you don't have to pay your rent. I think you all know the stories. What other income stream was affected? I do travel and speak internationally about different things, mostly technology, about application of technology in pensions, but also in our ways of life. The moment the aeroplanes were stopped from landing in Entebbe, you people, that was the end of that income stream. So the question then comes, Jean, what are you eating? That is when the family unit comes in and the community. So my husband's income suddenly becomes very important to me. I start calling him, good morning, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Are you well? I check on him. So those were the dynamics on my side. So I can't wait to hear from our panelists. So based on that short story on my side, I hope some of you are crying on my behalf saying, oh, Bambi, she might even not have supper today. I'd like to introduce our first panelist for the day. I'd like to introduce Mr. Newton Buteraba. Now, Newton has a very long CV, you guys. It is tall and tall and tall. Some people have invested in themselves while some of us were sleeping, but it's never too late. That's what I believe. It's never too late. So Newton is a serial entrepreneur. He's a business development consultant. He's a trainer. He's a university lecturer, you guys. He's a TV personality. He's an information security consultant. Are we together so far? Others have many. There are still more coming. He's a speaker and a wealth coach. Meanwhile, Newton is not yet 50, yeah? You might be thinking, well, someone is coming. This guy is still a young guy. In the last 6 years, Newton has developed and facilitated and delivered trainings on savings and investments, financial literacy, customer care, entrepreneurship in over 40 districts in Uganda. This man can speak local languages. The first time I heard him speaking proper Luganda, I said, hallelujah. This guy has been across the country and has impacted over 100,000 people. Now, Newton, don't be surprised, his accent is not so wow, but this guy went to school in the UK. So don't be looking at him there saying, but he did Bambi. The amazing thing, the first time I met Newton and I saw his credentials, this guy is an information security specialist. And he did this in the University of London. When I was here in Makerere suffering and cutting classes, Newton was in the UK learning cool things. Newton has a baby girl, and her beautiful name is called Mercedes, aka Newton must be driving a Mercedes Benz. I saw it with my 2 eyes. So Newton Buteraba, thank you so much for coming. I hand over the floor.
Wow. Thank you, Jean. I really didn't know where you got the cool fact that I'm a daddy now. You must be tracking me. But I would like to thank you so much for the kindness in trying to showcase the little I've achieved at 36. And I would like also to let you know you inspire many of us. Many of us also wanted to travel and go and do motivational speaking, and they stopped the plans. I'd like to thank Apollo for hosting, Mr. Headmaster, and I'd like to thank the other panelists, Ronald, Mukasa, and everyone who has made it to today to attend this webinar. I think people should count themselves lucky that even post-COVID, they can afford a data bundle to load in and actually attend this whole thing. Just like very many people, I usually use my experiences to help me go through whatever disaster that may come or approach me. If you've noticed that I've shared my story all along, that in 2008, between 2007 and 2011, I was a money lender, and the credit crunch, when it came, I lost all my money. So when I lost all my money, it meant that I had to find ways to stay afloat. I had all these partners I was working with, but that's when it was really terrible, and I decided to go to the UK to study, get capital, come back to Uganda. So I must say, when COVID came, years ago, when Andrew Jenner, a British physician, invented the vaccine for smallpox by inoculating a young boy of 13 years, and realizing that when you vaccinate the boy, he becomes resistant to smallpox. So this COVID tried to take almost everything I have. I'm a lecturer at Makerere, and Makerere is closed. I lend money, and people are saying they're hard up on cash, so they can't pay. I have tenants, and they say, boss, we are no longer going to work, so we can't also pay. I'm a motivational speaker, and then they say we can't gather anymore. And Apollo, you must attest to it that NSSF had organized that we were going to do another tour, like we had done, talking to the people, but then still we couldn't move anymore. But how did I get through personally? I had another venture. I do sell land and property. I'm also into farming, where I rear goats, and also I have banana plantations. But then I'm also a business consultant, and Ronald here Ronald here has gotten me a lot of gigs on consultancy. So what I realized in this period, anyone who was surviving on a single source of income, on a dual source of income, on a triple source of income, even 4 sources of income. Let me even say, even if you were running 5 sources, it was going to be so hard for you, and it is still going to be so hard for you. We usually use the past to determine the present, and I want to promise you, when the credit crunch hit the world, it stayed with us for approximately 1.5 to 2 years. Now, COVID has affected the whole entire globe, and I expect that in the next 3 years, we are still going to be having these effects. So because we are talking about financial resilience, I could borrow a learning from architecture. Architects design buildings, and when they design a skyscraper, they design it such that it can stand the impact of external forces. For example, wind can come and affect a skyscraper, but its ability to tilt a bit, then come back to normal, they say that building is resilient. So financial resilience means how do you have the ability to withstand life events that impact your income streams and assets? So you as an individual, you know, we are all going to be doing very different things, but you need to ask yourself, do you have the ability when a life event comes? Because when a life event comes, it's going to shoot at your income and assets. Do you have the ability to come back to normal, to even survive? Jack Ma, one of the wealthiest people on planet Earth, was saying that if you're still alive, just still alive, just know you're winning. Because if COVID has claimed lives, before it even claims any money, it has claimed lives. And you know, in US, it has claimed even more people than US lost in the Vietnam War. In the UK, total disaster. So do you have the ability to come to withstand live events which come to attack your income and assets? So the moment you can develop that habit, that ability, it means you're financially resilient. And I want to thank NSSF for very many things, but this is the major thing. For the whole entire past year before COVID hit, we were running series on financial intelligence. We graduated people. And in my classes, I kept on telling people, like it was the norm, you can't survive on a single job. You need multiple streams. You need to sell something. You need to do all these different things. And lo and behold, COVID is here. Now, the beauty, everywhere I go, I've told people that the best thing that has happened to mankind financially is COVID. And I'm going to say it again because I know it's recorded. The best thing that has happened to mankind financially is COVID. Why? Because now, once and for all, we are going to know that when someone tells you start up an emergency fund, they're not telling you to start it up such that they come later and borrow money from you. When we tell you that your boss can wake up one day and decide to either downsize, lay you off, we really mean business. And when we call people for financial intelligence programs like this webinar, and we only have 50, it really tells you that we still have a long way to go. So I wanted to share some of the financial resilience habits people can take on and people should start thinking about in the post-COVID era, because now it's the new normal. First of all, I want to promise you that this disaster of COVID has come, it's with us, it has affected us. But we are not certain that it's the only disaster that is going to befall mankind. I usually joke with people that they called it Corona. And if you look at Japan, Japan has Corona. Japan manufactures Raum, Harrier, Spacio. Are you ready for Raum 2023? Are you ready for Harrier 2025? Imagine these disasters are being named after cars. It means they are still coming. The disasters can never cease to come. You cannot stop the disasters from coming, but you can stop how they affect your finances. I can repeat that. You cannot stop, because you are not in control of the world. So you cannot stop disasters from coming. Disasters are going to come immediately after COVID. We might have another thing. We might have another thing. We might have another thing. So you are not in control of what is going to happen in the future. You who is watching, you are in control of what comes into your. For example, I want you to notice that right now you need to look into yourselves and look for probably other sources, other income sources. In Ecclesiastes 11:2, the wisest man we know, Solomon, is saying, apportion your money in 7 ventures. Apportion your money in 7 ventures. And he says, in fact, apportion them in 8. He starts by telling us 7, then he says, in fact, apportion them in 8. Why? Because you do not know which disaster will fall upon the land. You do not know which disaster will fall upon the land. So it means we have to look into now our abilities. If you have a job and they have just cut down on the money, they have not downsized, well and good, thank God for that. But that same service you're giving that company, you will find yourself being able to freelance. Can you find some more time to freelance? When you find some more time to freelance, it means you have added on source of income number 2. So you have the job, but before you sleep, you're finishing up some work in that particular field. For example, when I was working with Enterprise Uganda, I was an information system specialist working on computers. But there is a law firm at Crested Towers called Kesmo. They call me to freelance as their IT analyst or their IT technician. So I'm using the same skill which I was giving Enterprise Uganda for IT, but then I use some other time to freelance on the same skill. Now that is the thought process you have. You can't just be an accountant who wakes up so well, you go and you do all the accounting for that particular company. Can you also on your WhatsApp group tell people that you can file tax returns such that you freelance in accounting? That will be source of income number 2. Now, you will also realize that very many people have voted and they say their side businesses were affected. If your side business was affected, it is sad that it was affected, but also I want to promise you, I still insist, this is the best time for business. Let me give you an example. Prior to COVID, we used to look for space to rent. Like you couldn't start up a restaurant until you came and paid rent for like 12 months. You couldn't start up a shop. You would struggle to start up a shop selling clothes without really going to Ham Towers or really going to downtown and opening up the shop. Thanks to COVID, the mindset of people has changed. Now people can be on WhatsApp and Facebook and order for an item. So for you young entrepreneurs and old entrepreneurs, no matter the age, this is our best time now to flourish. I have a friend called Andrew. The wife makes very great chicken. What she does, she prepares, they advertise in the WhatsApp group, you can just call. What does that mean? It means that now you're going to be home and prepare food and the surplus food is for sale. That's what is going to happen. Now you no longer need the restaurant. Your friends are going to be telling you, can you provide that nyama choma? Can you provide this? People who have clothes and shoes which they have outgrown, that is pure capital. As an entrepreneur, that is pure capital for second-hand clothes. Remember, it's so hard to go abroad now to ship in second-hand. But you have these very nice dresses, you have these very nice shoes, you have these very nice blouses. Now is the time. You see, COVID has provided us a chance that we can start an income stream without actually going to open up shop. COVID has been the best thing, one of the best things for me, because I sell land. And most of the people I sell land to are abroad. I have made more sales at my estate than before COVID. Everyone was like, hey, now imagine if I did not have this. So people have been in a rush. So I've been also overwhelmed by the requests for the land purchases. Now, you could also take on the different things. Just look at your environment and look for the value. With that being said, it won't be good enough for you to start up an income stream without diversification. Diversification is when you make sure you are in different lines, in a different line. For example, I'm into business and I consult for business. When they say, okay, let's say the first stream is being a lecturer. When they say schools are closed, it does not stop my goats and banana plantations to flourish in the village where they are. You see the diversification there? When they say schools are closed, when they say I can no longer meet people for motivational speaking, it does not stop me from, for example, selling land. It does not stop me for writing a consultancy report. In fact, during COVID, we were moving all over because I was doing some consultancies. So I want to urge you that when you look at opening up multiple streams, think about having to go into different fields. different fields, such that when that field is held up, you can flourish from the other field. The other thing I wanted also to mention is what I call the personal economy. I want to introduce to you viewers a venture called the personal economy. Now, have you ever thought about running your home as an economy? Think about it. Running your home as an economy. For example, you see how government of Uganda runs this economy. They budget, they get resources, they utilize all resources and all that. Now, when you start looking at your home and you start developing the economics of your home, you'll be financially resilient. Think about it this way. In COVID, people who used to survive on 150,000 a week, it was during COVID that COVID opened their eyes and they realized, wow, 50,000 can help us run through a week. 50,000. People who used to spend 1 full million on just eating at home, COVID opened their eyes and they're like, wow, I can be at home and we survive on 250. So what does this teach us? That we need to look at our homes now and start running as an economy. You are like the Minister of Finance. What happens when you're the Minister of Finance? The home must be strictly run on a budget. If during COVID, you developed a habit to survive on 100,000, when they open us up, why would you go back into the spending habit where you go back to the normal and you spend up to 600,000? Remember, I've told you, COVID is still here. The effects, the after effects are going to last for the next 3 years. I'm counting 3 because I remember the disaster of the credit crunch. So I count that the after effects of COVID will stay here for the next 3 years, and we've only done 6 months. So look at the amount of money you've been spending. Now, when you're running an economy and you're looking at your home as an economy, I want to introduce you to something called balance of trade. You see, when people are running countries export and countries import. The reason why China is becoming a problem and shaking the status quo in power, it is because China is having a huge balance of trade that it has come up into what we call a trade surplus. What is a trade surplus? It is when your exports, the value of your exports, are by far beating the value of your imports. Let me bring that again. Balance of trade. Balance of trade, every country looks at what it's exporting, the value of what it is exporting, vis-a-vis what it's importing. So they subtract. Did we export more than we imported? The moment you export more than you imported, it means you have a trade surplus. Countries which import more and export less have a trade deficit. Let me bring it to you in your home. Now, in your home, look at what you're doing. You are probably importing everything in your home. You're the Minister of Finance, but you're importing everything in your home. Look at what you're importing. You import food. If you do not grow food from the other eco, so it also means, so you are in a home, you import food, You import water from national, you import from downtown, you import milk from Jester, you import everything than you are earning. What that means is you're going to always have a trade deficit. But if you start saying that let's also be exporting out of your home and you start exporting, you will realize that you have a trade surplus. So I urge people and I encourage them, you need to be having different sources of income. When you look out for those different sources of income, you must be thinking about diversification. And when you want to enter the different sources of income, for example, when they say COVID is done and now we are going to be open, everyone is going to go into the sources of income. I want you to look through these sources of income and consider something we call a value chain. Don't get all your money and say, now I have to start farming from ground up. You need to be looking at, for example, farming. You look at the farming and you're like, okay, with this little money I have, maybe let me only import, let me get matoke and sell, or let me only sell inputs. Because where we are going now, we are going into uncertainty. And when you're into uncertainty, what that means is you do not know what is going to happen tomorrow. You might overput in all the money and you lose it. So right now, the best thing to do is to come in slowly by slowly, slowly by slowly. If you read Genesis 6, God was tired of the world. People were homosexuals, people were not worshiping idols, and they were violent. So he called up Noah to build the ark. In fact, Noah building the ark till Noah coming out of the ark, that was the first lockdown. The first lockdown was in the Bible. So Noah was in the ark. So when they released Noah to come out of the ark, Noah did not come out of the ark immediately. He first sent out a raven. He also sent out a dove. The dove came because it realized the water was still up and it couldn't find a tree to rest. So when it came back, he sent it back again. When he sent it back again and it came with an olive, that's when Noah realized that it is now clear to go out. So when they open us up and they say it's no longer lockdown, don't just go into any business. Be sending out a raven, be sending out a dove. What that can translate to this period is to understand. Try to understand whatever you're going to go into. Yes, it's important to have multiple sources of income, but we want you to seek financial intelligence first. Enroll for NSSF and study. Look for a business advisor and be guided on how to really run this thing. I don't know how many minutes I have remaining. It could be 2, it could be 2, it could be 3. But my encouragement to the people would be that when I'm trying to look at the poll where it said people lost side incomes, that is really sad. And there are people who are saying their earnings stayed intact. Now, if your earnings stayed intact, it means try now to look for how to systemize such that next time they say COVID is here, the thing continues. Pick lessons from what you've learned. And also, as a summary to leave you, I want you people to take on a balanced diet. A balanced diet is not always about food. It's always about what you hear and feed the mind. What you hear, what you see. You have to keep it balanced because immediately after COVID, everyone is going to be trying to do very many things and trying to advise anyhowly. So seek that financial advice that can really help you and be guided with that little money. Because I know what people did. people started by eating the profits. Then people ate the capital. Then people sold what they had. Then people started borrowing. So right now they are going to start off on the low or in negatives. The idea would be that when we start off, you might be tempted to borrow, because it's a habit for Ugandans that every time we lack money, we would walk to a bank. Still, my advice for you, you must avoid expensive money. If you're to take on a debt and you're saying NSSF taught us to start multiple sources of income, and I want to borrow this money from the bank to start up this business, make sure you have leverage. Leverage is when you have, leverage is what wealthy people use to find someone who pays the loan for the rich man. The wealthy people use leverage. They borrow money, construct an apartment, but they make sure that apartment, it's the borrowers who are paying the debt. So the rich man is free. When you do not have leverage, you're in very big trouble. So the request is multiple sources of income. They have to be diversified, balanced diet. Don't just eat everything. We are watching TV, we are seeing disaster. We are seeing disaster for the economy, disaster for the people, disaster for the friends. No, balanced diet. You watch this, some you leave. You listen, some you leave. Then you will have to look for a financial advisor. Enroll for financial literacy programs. And when you enroll for financial literacy programs, practice James 1:22. James 1:22 says, don't be just hearers of the word, put it into practice. Thank you very much for listening. I would like to thank you for taking all this time for being here to learn. And thank you, NSSF, for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Newton. Can I see a thunderous applause from the crowd or thumbs up? I think there's at the bottom of your screen, there should be a thing that shows how you can do
Gina, are you there?
thumbs up for Newton. Can you hear me? Hello?
So
Apollo,
as
can you
Jean
hear
is
me?
coming,
Yes, Jean. Jean, you are very clear.
Jean, are you there?
Yes, Newton. Jean
Yes,
is.
Newton, you're the only one.
So people are talking about financial advisors.
Newton, can you?
People are talking about financial advisors. NSSF runs a financial literacy program, and that financial literacy program has a team of financial advisors. They have brought some today. They have brought me. They have brought Ronald Mukasa. So you may want to register with NSSF and make sure you can attend the financial intelligence program. That's one of the best ways, because right now where we are going, we need to be guided. We need to be guided. And you know, Genesis 1:3 says, let there be light. So if you enter any business without being guided, COVID might really hurt you.
Okay, so thank you so much, Newton. I do hope you can.
As Jean is coming, someone was asking, what do I think are the best businesses post-COVID? First of all, COVID has shown us Jean, can you hear me?
Newton, we can hear you.
Newton, we can hear you. Can you hear us, Newton? Newton, can you hear us?
Over to you, Jean. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Can you hear me, Newton? Okay, as we've been listening to Newton, I'd like to say a big thank you to Newton and kind of have a recap of what he's taught us today. Apollo, can you hear me? Just a thumbs up. Apollo?
Very well, very loud
Perfect.
and clear.
We can hear you.
Thank you. Yes. So I'd like to recap what we've learned from Newton, and I picked up some very interesting things from this. So Newton has told us about income sources, and he says preferably have 7, better still have 8. I know that it's a stretch, but the best place to do is to start. He came up with a very interesting concept of running a home budget. All governments run on budgets, and I think we need to have home budgets. Budgets are basically what you have as income, the money that comes in, and how it goes out. If it's not on the budget, you must write a memo to the authorities in the house and explain why you're spending on something that shouldn't be there. Newton further on told us also about balance of trade. Now, I've never applied balance of trade in my household, although I did quantitative economics. So it's the first time that I'm going to apply it in my household. So Newton has told us that we end up importing more than we export. And in that way, China defies the odds. China exports more than they import. So what is the lesson here? We must learn to export certain things. What are you exporting from your household and not importing? Newton further on told us about the raven. You must start small. Yes, we must have different income streams, but do not go out all the way. Start small and see. If it works, then you can put in more money. Now, I've seen a couple of questions to Newton, and I'd like to start with the first one. Newton, can you hear me now? Because you have some questions for you. Okay, so since Newton cannot hear, I'd like to move on to the next agenda item, which is going to be a poll. And when he comes back on, we'll ask the questions that we want. I hope that's fair enough. So can we get into the poll, please, before we bring on the next panelists?
Gloria, kindly launch the results for the poll question. Back to you, Jean.
Thank you so much, Apollo. I was looking at the stats and I found them very interesting. So members, we've all agreed that lifestyle change is the way to go if the lockdown is extended, which will be a very good thing for all of us. But I'm wondering, how come no one wants the posho, the government subsidy? You people are saying the posho wasn't good, because if no one wants a subsidy, I would actually want the subsidy. I'm happy for the salary earners, and I'm extremely happy with the savings people, But I think we all need the COVID, like Newton said, is a time to review ourselves and adjust to what some people are calling the new normal, but I'm calling it the new way, because normal is kind of mediocre. So I'd like to then introduce our second panelist for the day, a gentleman called Ronald Mukasa. I want to tell you something about Ronald Mukasa. Now, Ronald Mukasa is a financial literacy coach. As you can see, people are coaches. I'm going to upgrade. Ronald is a consultant, he's a trainer and business development professional. You all know now that Newton has told us we have to get businesses where to go to get the coaching from. Ronald has provided business management, financial literacy, and financial management training to corporates. You must agree with me that corporates are the hardest people to teach. So once in a while I go and speak to corporates, I'll tell you, the moment I enter, they'll review my shoe before I even start speaking. They will check out my hair. It's like they must first approve of the outside of me before they hear from the inside of me. So anyone who coaches corporates people needs a big thunderous applause, standing up ovation, yeah? So this gentleman has also trained government and non-government institutions. Government institutions, I'm sure you know that they ask for per diem and sitting allowance before you tell them your things. So you've come to teach them and they say, well, is that sitting allowance? It's a joke, people. I just need to bring some humor into the day. So in the last 6 years, what has Ronald done? He's facilitated several team building sessions. So this guy is a fun guy as well. There are people who make us laugh and do exercises, specializing in empowering teams to increase productivity and cohesion. We all know that organizations struggle with silo mentality, so bringing teamwork together is a big one. So this gentleman, Ronald, like me, is an FCCA. Now you see me putting my credentials there, looking for side jobs. And FCCA, what does FCCA mean for people like him? So these are accountants who, because they've practiced for some time, become fellows, meaning that Okadi Deyo, you're old in the profession, yeah? Ronald, I'm adding so. He holds a master's degree in development management from LSE. Now, let me tell you about London School of Economics. So I've always wanted to go to LSE. What was the problem? I couldn't afford it. So I'll ask Ronald after here how he did it. And then he did his bachelor in stats at Makerere University. The one thing that I know about this guy that nobody else knows is that this guy was the first guild president who finished his term and took back some balance. We need to clap for him. He might even become an MP in Nansana. So with those few words, I'd like to welcome Ronald to the podium.
Thank you, Jean, for that blessing. I take it fully. I'm excited to be here, and thank you for the kind introduction. And I want to welcome everyone who has joined us during these times that we are in, and possibly to kind of start discussing how we can walk out of this process. I think one of the things which is key as we reflect on this time is for us to, first of all, appreciate that this is unprecedented. I think when Newton shared, he mentioned that there was the crisis in 2008, but with the exception of the people who were part of the financial sector, a number of people actually it passed by and they did feel it. Now, COVID is different because we have all participated actively in feeling it. We have felt the pain that it has caused us. And I think one of the things which comes out strongly at this time is for us to actually open our eyes to the fact that we have possibly been standing on very weak ground. I think every conversation, every household that you could talk to, all of us are feeling how weak the ground we are standing on is. You feel a sense of, all of us are feeling that discomfort of saying that actually I don't have savings, of saying that actually I don't have any insurance, actually I don't have any cover. Actually, the friends I have are not as friendly as I hoped they would be. actually the family on which I used to depend is actually not as strong as it was. I know that this period which we are emerging from, it caught people in different places. Some young people were in hostels and they stayed in hostels, and your parents possibly send as much as they can until they tell you to be strong and find a way of walking through that period. Or other people, we see that their families where both the husband and the wife have lost their job, and they have had to accept, first of all, that there is no income. But more importantly, they have had to kind of ask themselves, what do we do to emerge from this? And I think Newton has done a great job kind of putting the picture we are in into context. I mean, in the sessions which we have been having with Headmaster, the sessions we have been having, there's something which we have talked about often, but I think none of us imagined how it could actually play out. I mean, one of the things we talk about is this thing called the financial bomb, a bomb going off, and what happened. And for the benefit of those people who haven't had this, I know some of you have, but I'll repeat it for the benefit of those who haven't had it. The question here is, we have a situation where we are all asked, I mean, most of us are in different parts of the country, but assuming you are in Kampala, if you're asked whether you can walk to Jinja, I imagine the majority of us will say, I don't have the energy to walk to Jinja. I don't have the capacity to walk to Jinja. However, if a bomb goes off on a building near you, or if a bomb goes off in a place nearby, it is inevitable for you to actually, look at the situation of the bomb going off. I mean, just imagine in your home, a bomb has exploded at your neighbor's place. When the bomb explodes at your neighbor's place, if you at the only part of this country which is safe is Jinja, and you live in Kampala, chances are you will find the energy in yourself to actually walk to Jinja. Now, why does the energy come when the bomb goes off? The argument is simple. When the explosion happens, there is an energy which comes inside all of us because of the fear that it has created. Now, for most of us, honestly, this situation we are going through has been a financial bomb. We have noticed that we have possibly been living a lie. It is true that you have had a job. It is true that you could afford your rent. It is true that you could afford DSTV. It is true that you could afford the meals that you enjoy. But when this bomb occurred, you notice that actually all along you have been living a lie. And that's the situation where we are today. And I want everyone who is reflecting on this discussion to actually notice that what has happened is a financial bomb has exploded. Certainly we have a health bomb which has been well managed, but this is a financial bomb. And when a financial bomb explodes, many times you will have to walk to Jinja without any prompting. Because many times we'll say, I can't walk to Jinja, but when the bomb goes off, even though you don't have shoes, you will get to Jinja. Even though you are putting on a suit, you will get there. Even though you are not prepared, even though you are sick, you will get there. What does this mean? It means that each and every one of us has to reflect on what kind of behavior have I developed during this period, because you have noticed your financial reality. As Jean rightly put it, one of the most challenging things is to discuss our personal finances. It's kind of a very personal topic. But many times when bombs go off, you actually see your reality. What COVID has done is that it has exposed our families. It has shown what is our financial reality. And I think that's the starting point for all of us. All of us have to accept that actually this is a financial reality. These are the facts. This is how I am behaving. at home. This is exactly where I am. The truth is, I can't earn another income if this income goes. That's a reality. And at that very point, now comes the time for you to start saying, how do I make decisions which can take me out of this reality? And that's where I want to concentrate my discussion. The first thing which I want you to observe is that when this crisis came, there was a lot of denial for the first couple of months. Most of April, most of us were in denial. We said it would take a week. And somehow the leaders gave it to us in small pieces, 21 days, 14 days here. But before long, a whole 70 days had actually passed. Now, the fact that we were in denial, it denied us the opportunity to actually accept what the reality was. The truth is, your job, by this time, you have come to the place of acceptance that my job has gone. If you have kept your job, by this time, you have come to the place of acceptance that actually that job, your dependency on it is fragile. Because you noticed during this period, when you are not going to work, you noticed that actually you are not able to sustain your family on just your salary. Because all of us know that when you go to office, somehow there is some extra income which you earn by just going to office. Just appearing in town actually allows you to be able to earn an extra income. So the point is that you have noticed that even that salary is not enough. Now, if you are a business person, chances are you have noticed at this point that your business can't be sustained in its current form. If you have been running your business in an arcade, for example, at this very point, you have already picked up and you have noticed that that arcade may not reopen in time. And even when it reopens, possibly the customers won't come back as well as they were coming before. So sorry, Jean, are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I was getting a message here that a couple of panelists are not hearing. Yeah, so I think the first thing which we need to do now that we have had the acceptance, and Newton made a good point there, is that we need to accept that we are going to become startups again. It means that if you are, for example, employed and you have lost work, you have to return to that point when you are looking for a job in the first place. You need to return to that point where you started your career and ask yourself, how did I behave during that period? What kind of person was I? What kind of, how was I following up? What kind of engagement did I have? When we say you have to become a startup again, it means you have accepted that we have a reality now where both of us have lost our jobs, but we need to start from where we are. If you're a business owner and you have, during this period, you have consumed all your capital, you need to accept that I am actually a startup again. You return to the point when you are starting your business. Most businesses in this country are started in an informal structure, and usually they are started with very small amounts of money. And you, the business owner, that's how you started your business in the first place. But you had grown it. Now you had capital of possibly 40 million. But this period has kind of shrunk your business. And you have barely any capital left. Now, what is the message to you? You need to become a startup again. You need to discover that person in you who started that business 7 years ago and return to him and say you need that energy to come back to you. Why? There is a sense of loss. There is a sense of disappointment that COVID has kind of stolen all your wealth from you. But there is a person in you who had possibly disappeared. Possibly when you started your business, you were calling every customer who even asked about the product. You'd call them about 4 times to check whether they want it. But now your business had grown, customers come by themselves. So you were not actually as aggressive as you used to be. You need to return to that aggressive person. And you need to return to that aggressive person urgently. Why? Because you are going to need your best skills during this time. For those of us who have never started businesses, it may be a different story, but for the people who have started businesses, they fully understand the kind of person they used to be when they were chasing every deal, when they were working up to midnight, when they were putting in everything possible to ensure that the customer receives a good service. You need to return to that person. You need to become that person again. You may have had a business and you are employing 5 people, but you have had to lose all your 5 employees. If you have lost all your 5 employees, you may actually be put in a position when you are once again doing everything that you used to do. You have again become the accountant. You have again become the salesperson. You have again become the receptionist. Now you need to accept that reality. Why? Because we're in a period of rebuilding, meaning that you have to be a startup again. You need to be a startup again to return to the beginning and have the willingness and accept that this situation which I am in is actually new, and it is going to demand me to be a startup again. Now, I do understand if you're frustrated when you're saying that, but you don't understand. I actually had a very successful business. My hotel was doing very well. I was actually expecting a contingent of tourists in April, and I was going to earn $10,000 during that time. The point is that this has happened, and you need to return to that person who started that hotel, that person who started that restaurant, and return to those behaviors. Now, the beauty now is that you have done it before. You are different from that one who has never done it. You have done it before, and it is going to demand you to discover that man, that woman who started that business. And when you find that person, you will be able to use that person to give you energy during this time. I was fascinated when you gave the comments on what people thought, how people thought they would, where they expect the help to come from. I saw that the people expecting the government subsidy, a few, it was a small percentage from the survey. But that is a sign that actually people know that I am at home and I need to get my household out of this. Meaning that you need to find and accept that the only person who is going to walk through this period with you is seated right inside you. And that is a very important message, because it's a message which destroys any hope on the way. If your brother has promised that they will send you some money, it is best you actually assume that my brother may fail. And if he fails, what will I do? So you need to take on a spirit of action and go back to that startup, that person who runs fast to be able to move. Now, the second thing which I think is important, yes, become a startup, but you have to also accept that this is a period where you are going to unlearn many things. Most of us have already been forced to unlearn some things. For example, in your household, you have already been forced to unlearn that every time your children tell you DSTV has expired, your answer is to pick up the phone and you pay for the DSTV immediately. You have totally forgotten that process, and you have taken on a new pattern. So you have learned that it is possible for you to tell your children there is no money. And your children will jump around for a bit, but they will quickly accept that this is a new reality. So there are things which you need to unlearn. My message to you is that be very deliberate about things which you are unlearning. If you have been the kind of person who believes that a salary has to arrive on 25th of the month, there is some unlearning you need to do. Because there are many Ugandans, even before COVID, who were uncertain about their salary. You meet someone, he has been working for 4 years, but he says his salary is paid depending on how business is doing. You have been working for an organization where salary is always paid on time. So that means that you need to unlearn that old person that salaries all come on time, and actually relearn and tell yourself that it's possible that salary doesn't come on time. So you need to accept that there are new lessons which are coming, and they are coming at you like a hose pipe. There are so many lessons which you need to quickly learn. You need to quickly learn that, how do I negotiate breakfast without having a loaf of bread? What do I exactly need to do for breakfast to be there without a loaf of bread? That is the process which you need to be going through. So you need to go through a process of unlearning. And as you unlearn and let go of the previous lessons, the previous things which you took for granted, you will notice that there are new opportunities for you to learn new things. In your own household, one of the things which COVID has brought to the fore is that it is difficult to go to town. Even at this current point, going into the city center has become very difficult. People have to go, they arrive at 9, then they have to leave at 2. So it's becoming difficult. So the question, and Newton touched on this, how do I turn my household into an economic unit? And at this point, you need to sit with your spouse, sit with your wife and ask them, let us profile our skill set. What things do we know how to do? And now this skill set may have nothing to do with the work which you're currently doing. Yes, you are an accountant, but on your skill set, what you'll find is that actually you are quite a good cook. And if you're a good cook, how do you use that cooking skill to activate your finances currently? What are people looking for? You are part of a WhatsApp group. That WhatsApp group has 150 people. You know how to bake. Have you actually posted on that group and said, by the way, I can deliver a cake to you? Because that might be a more useful purpose for your vehicle currently, to deliver cakes to people. And the point is that even within the constrained period we are in, there are a couple of people who are spending, and the only way they will spend is if you meet them at their point of need. If people are used to going outside to buy a cake, now it is not possible. You have a skill as a good baker. How can you use that skill? Take on that skill. But I want you to appreciate that the person you are battling against most is yourself. You were comfortable before this period. This period, there was a comfort zone in which you were. You possibly were called manager. You were called director. And the moment you are called director, there are things which directors should never be doing. For example, you are a manager in an organization, but the person who has asked for your cake is a person who is a receptionist in the organization. They have been the people who are bringing you memos in the office, but now it is you asking them, literally you feel like you are begging that on their child's birthday, you are the one who delivers the cake, and they have you 80,000 shillings. But you have to humble yourself and walk to their home. Their home may be in a place which you haven't gone to before, and present yourself as director, holding the cake and hand it over, and in exchange get 80,000 shillings. Friends, that is a painful process. It is a process of you actually going out of your comfort zone. And as you walk out of your comfort zone, you are going to feel the pinch. And that pinch is that discomfort you are going to feel is the process of relearning. As you feel the discomfort of handing over a cake to someone who calls you boss, as you feel that discomfort, you'll understand what it means to run a business. That a business is the humility to accept everyone as a customer and to deliver to them value and even accept their rebuke. Because they will call you back and say, boss, this is the lousiest cake that I've ever eaten. But you have to take that message with humility. So the question which you're asking yourself is, the opportunities, the doors to walk through have started presenting themselves. There are things which you have discovered during these 3 months when we have been locked down. And you have discovered you can do them. You have discovered you are great in the garden and you can do some landscaping for people. You have always looked for time to organize your garden, but you have organized it. You have even posted pictures on Facebook and people are excited about the work and they say, can you do this for me? But it means that you need to accept that this is a new form, to make yourself a bit, to kind of come a bit low and accept that when businesses are starting, they start small. They start at the very lowest level. And as they start, they can be able to grow. So you are discovering these things. Newton talked about having 7 or 8 sources of income. But the point is that they are not going to come from far. They will come within the things, within your own community. You will be able to discover things which can be done, that you can be able to move. But it is going to be an uncomfortable process. It's going to be able to kind of squeeze you a bit. It's going to, how do I put off my coat of being a director and accept that I've become a cake maker? That is going to be the question that you have to answer. Some of us, we are men. Your wife has always, is the only one who has kept the job. But you, the man, you have lost the job. And they're saying that, why don't you contribute a bit at home so that we kind of let go of some of the costs we are having? Will you accept that reality? So there is a lot of unlearning, there's a lot of learning, and there's a lot of relearning. I want to close, I'm told they have 5 minutes to go. So I want to close with the last bit, which is accepting the reality and keeping the hope alive. And why this is important? In times like this, you will ask yourself, where am I feeding? Where am I feeding? There are all kinds of messages going around. And one of the most dangerous things is the process is feeding on a message of doom and gloom. And that message is very powerful. You are about to wake up to start doing something, to start your small cottage industry, which you have figured out, and you've said, I think I can start doing something small here. I've noticed, yeah, the skill which I have, I'm an artist. So I'm going to start doing some paintings, and I'll post them on my social media platform and kind of share them with people, and I could be able to. But as you start, on that day you start, someone that you turn on a message on your radio, on your television, and the first thing they tell you, we are finished. Things are bad. We are about to crash. When you start feeding on that message, even you who was getting out of your bed, you say, let me just sleep in my bed. At this point, you have gone back to your workplace. You were 20 employees. Now your boss has kept only 5. And you look around and you see the doom, you see the business which was once thriving was collapsing. You have 2 choices. Either you work like that crazy person you used to be at the start of that business to be able to bring it up, or you accept that it is headed for doom. And those messages are so powerful. That's why I'm saying you have to keep hope alive. It is important. You have to do this for yourself. And if you are in networks which are constantly reminding you about the oncoming crash, it might be in your interest to step away a bit. Sometimes you might have to walk away from that WhatsApp group which you are part of, which is constantly reminding you about how bad things are. You might have to walk away. Why? You are doing it for yourself, because this initiative, this new journey you want to take, is going to demand all your energy. And the moment you are not getting the energy from inside, it is impossible for you to be able to succeed. So friends, you need to ask yourself, what kind of messages am I having? It's not a question of not accepting the reality. The reality is things that happen. Things that happen. As Newton said, Jack Ma said, if you're alive, it's okay. If your business is standing, that's okay. The fact that you just have life, it's fine. The fact that you have your job and it is paying you half pay, it is better than many. But you need to keep hope alive. And why is hope? Because that is the only fuel you have. Capital is going to be hard to find. Capital, you go to the bank and the bank just says, pay me, I don't want, but capital is hard to find. The only capital you have is that fuel, that hope, that energy inside. And as you have it, and if you're a business owner, it's absolutely important you have it, because your employees need it. They see how bad things are. They sit in the office for 2 whole days and no customer comes. In the absence of that energy, my friend, you will lose even the few employees you're kept with. So it is absolutely important that you take a position of, I am a startup again. We are going to get out of this. And if you have networks which you are part of, which are kind of pushing that energy, you need it, because we need that energy to go out. There is no way you will wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning if you anticipate that things are going to crash. You will keep in bed. Even when someone calls you, say, I'll call him again, and he will not give me business. So friends, one of the things which is of absolute importance currently is for you to find that energy inside you. Keep the hope alive. Get yourself out of, because you need to snap out of it. It has been hard. You have been hit hard. Some of people have lost their entire businesses. People have lost jobs. The thing is, we need to keep the hope alive. Thank you, friends, for joining us, and I'll hand back to Jane.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ronald. Thank you very, very much. The energy you have and the drive you have makes it all look very possible to do. Friends, can we give a big hand clap, even if we can't hear, to Ronald?
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to recap. I'd like to recap what we've learned from Ronald just before we get into the question time. And I think the first thing that he told us is that unlike the financial crisis, we have all been given an opportunity to participate in COVID-19, as in we were all participants. It did not leave out somebody or other people. When the financial crisis happened, I remember I wasn't pretty much affected. I saw entities affected, but not all of us, especially we who got the ripple effects like 5 years later. But COVID came for all of us. The second thing that we learned from him is that finally, what we're experiencing is what they call a financial bomb. And I like the analogy he used of, if they told you to walk to Ginger now, you'd all be like, no, I have no energy. But if a bomb went off and they all told us that the only safe place was in Ginger, I tell you, I would be in Ginger before all of you. So the financial bomb is here. We thank God for it. And like Newton said, he said the best thing that has happened in COVID is the financial, what COVID has done is the best thing to finances, because now we're going to go back and relook our finances, each and every one of us. And it's not going to be like they're dragging you to create income streams. So the financial bomb is here, ladies and gentlemen. I liked what, again, Ronald said about how some of us have discovered that by walking into town and entering our offices, we get paid. That was hilarious. You know, you never put two and two together until the time comes and you see people are losing their jobs and you're like, eh, me even going to office without doing much, I earn the salaries. So this is something that we need to remember, especially the people that are employed and not business owners. How much value are we giving our employers? Now is the time to shine. He then went on and told us that now is time to rethink and start thinking like startups. And I like when he says startups. So I've done a couple of businesses and I've failed. And I like failing because failing is school fees. You know, like 1,000 ways to die. Now I know 1,000 ways not to die because I died 1,000 times. And the beauty with thinking as a startup, and I'll tell you the businesses I've started, I'm a hands-on person when I start a business, and I'll get into the digs, so I will remember every detail. I will clean the house if someone is coming into it. When I'm lending money, I will sit with you and talk to you. Whatever I do, when I'm consulting, I will attend every meeting. So I want us to go back to the beginning, the enthusiasm that we had, the zeal we had to start up our lives. This is a new opportunity to start on a blank sheet. We then move to the part of unlearn, learn, and relearn. And I remember an advert MTN did once a long time ago that said all the things that you will learn. And in this example of we must relearn now new things, the old has gone away. I still hear people saying, when things go back to normal, and it's so hilarious, we must move on. Now is a good time. Let's forget it. Let's forget about the way our children were going to school. Let's stop complaining that they're in class on Zoom. Let's stop complaining about everything. And the faster we adapt, the better it will be for all of us, because resisting this change, and yet we are not in control, is just going to take away valuable time. Ronald then went on to tell us about getting out of a comfort zone. And the example he used is of a manager taking a cake to the receptionist. And I think in business is where we show our humility. In many offices, when you walk in, everyone is rude. But when you're in your kaduka, so I had a shop at Equatorial Mall sometime. I've sold things, people. I'm selling children's clothes. You should see me at the reception. When you entered, I would be like, good morning, madam, how are you? How old is your baby? What's the name of your baby? So it didn't matter who came in, whether you had shoes or not. That wasn't my problem. The problem is that you were going to pay my rent that day. So we must know that and it was painful. It was, someone walked in and you knew they were going to waste your time. And you were pretty much, because you develop an instinct eventually. There are those window shoppers. But I am the biggest window shopper in town. I like going to stores in places out of this country and enter shops that I cannot afford. Not to waste their time, but I'd like to know how the rich people live. Now, in Uganda, these people were doing that to me. They would come in, touch clothes, and walk away. But I had to be polite. I had to get into that place where it was so uncomfortable that I grew. And then the last point that we've been given by Ronald is walk away from the negativity. And I'll tell you that you are exactly what you spend your time listening to. So every time you're in the company of people who are negative, I tell you, your life is wasting away. You must learn to keep with people who are positive, especially on this journey. There are so many people who are sending messages on Facebook, wherever it is, saying the lockdown is coming again. I keep thinking, so what? So it's a sensationalist thing that is not going to change anything. So keep out of those spaces where the world is coming to an end. Things are so bad in China. I keep asking, how many of you have been to China? And then the number is almost zero, but we know how many bad things are happening in China and it's affecting us. So keep with the positivity, yeah, so that you can keep alive. So thank you so much for that. Now we are going to get into the questions. I hope, team, that you're as excited as I am. Some of these questions are so tough, even me, I feared. The ones they asked me, I will check them last. Hopefully the time will have ended. So let me start with the questions as they came in. So the first question, Newton, I think you'll take notes so that I read to you like 3 questions because you presented first, was, is this the right time to borrow money? Is this the right time, Newton, to borrow money as capital for starting a business, especially looking at the unpredictability of the business now? This came from Jovan. That was the first question. The second question to you, Newton, show me a thumbs up so I can move to the next question. Newton, are you ready?
Yes, you can see me.
Okay, so let me do the second one. The second question was, they said, thank you for the great presentation. And the question is, what do you say about the binary options and trading? Do you think buying shares now is a good idea or it needs to be after? This came from Joel. The next question, Newton, came from 7 income streams. Isn't this too many for efficiency? I wish I could help you answer that one. I like those questions. This came from Nicholas. So basically to explain if 7 income streams are too many. So we'll stop there, Newton, for now. Let me put some out for Ronald. So Ronald, the question is, prior to COVID, the bank rates were higher than the current. Most customers have loans running under the old rates. My question is it advisable to get a top-up to the old loans, like a mortgage, in order to get a newer revised rate on the loan? I don't know, Ronald, if you got that. I'd like to see your video. Ronald, are you there?
Yes,
Okay.
I got that. I got that.
Okay, so the second question is, most essential businesses like taxis have increased prices, yet some products we sell are highly price sensitive to customers. How can we intelligently increase prices of these products so as to keep afloat?
All right, thank you.
Someone said to Ronald, I feel in my bones. Eh? Okay, just ignore that one. I think for now, let's take those. Please go ahead and answer those questions.
I can start.
Yes, Newton, go, please.
Thank you very much, Jean, and thank you very much, Ronald, for this session has really been great because I'm learning. I'm learning on job while I'm also passing on the information. Now, the very first question they asked is this the right time to borrow money to start a business, I would like to make it clear for the people viewing us that we have in the entire financial intelligence program, in the entire training, and I've been training people on money for the last 15 years, I have never advised anyone to borrow money to start a business. And I'm going to give you a very great concept you must think about why it's never good advice, a good piece of advice to borrow to start a business. One, when you borrow money from a bank or a microfinance or any financial institution for that matter, that lending process is a certainty. What do I mean by a certainty? By the time you leave the bank, you leave with a payment schedule. What that means is it's a certainty. They tell you, you pay on this date, you pay this interest, you leave this, everything has been laid out. Yet the business you want to start is a probability. You do not know for sure. You do not know for sure whether the customers will go in that direction, or they will buy in those amounts, or this will be the best price. So you as the business person, the price is a probability. The number of customers, probability. The business environment, the economy, probability. Probability means you are not sure. So how are you going to match the things which you are not sure about with the thing which the bank is already sure about? For the bank does not want to know all the other things. The bank wants the money on every 25th or every 28th. So the fact that businesses which are startups have a lot of uncertainty, and the bank money is for certain, you must pay. Even when you read the word, when you read about the word mortgage, mortgage stands for a death pledge. What does that mean? That the pledge that you will pay does not die till you pay. That's what mortgage stands for. M-O-R-T is death. Gage, which is G-A-G-E, means pledge, is French for pledge. So mortgage means the pledge doesn't die till you pay. That's why they take the house for a closing, or they wait for you till you pay. Now, for them, it's a certainty that when we give you this money, we have to get it back. Yet when you want to start a business, you're not sure whether it will perform. Now, there is a remedy. Ronald has told you that we need to learn, unlearn, and relearn. What you will learn is the people who borrowed before are now struggling. The people who borrowed and started up, businesses, COVID has opened up, and they have learned that even when the bank is trying to give you a moratorium, Bank of Uganda told financial institutions that in this period where people have not been working, get the accrued interest and amortize it. So it means that the financial institutions, by fact, are not going to be our friends. Can you imagine that in the period where we have not been working, what they did, the best remedy they thought they could give the people is to get that money and amortize it such that you have to pay it. Now, I have to tell you, you can't think about a loan and never think about the loan. When do people borrow? People borrow when business has promised a certainty, when it's no longer probable. You know that now when people come, they want maybe this kind of flour, they want meat in these quantities, and they want it at this price. When things are certain, that's when we borrow. In this period, you have to look for cheaper sources of money. Think investment clubs. For example, can Newton and Ronald and Jean and Apollo say, let's get our monies? Let's get our monies and combine. That is very cheap money, and that's the money we are advising people to get. You and your 4 friends can each come up with 1 million shillings, can each come up with 1 million shillings, and you say, let's start up. We shall use so-and-so's experience. We shall use so-and-so's place as, we shall use so-and-so's experience. We shall use so-and-so's place without having to rent. So the idea is you're going to have to look in your network and look for who to work with. They might be few or 3 or 4, but make sure you get cheap money. In fact, the cheapest money. There is backup to that. In Proverbs 22:7, they're saying the borrower is a slave to the lender. Borrower is a slave to the lender. And in Proverbs 22:27 again, they will tell you that if you co-sign for a loan, make sure you're ready to pay the whole amount. Now, in this period, people are going to want to borrow to start up businesses, and they're going to call you as a guarantor. Please make sure when you go to guarantee that person, you are able to pay the full amount, because in this period, people might run away, people might see very many certain things, and they leave you in the trouble. So I'm saying do not borrow. Look for the cheapest money. Cheapest money might come from your parents, might come from your work colleagues, might come from your spouse. Don't fear to borrow from your spouse. If you fear to borrow from your spouse, it might be another issue, but the idea is look for cheap money. Someone asked, is this the great time to go into binary options and trading? I wouldn't. He also said buying shares now. First of all, if you've been following the Uganda Stock Exchange, and I'm not here to put it down and do anything, it hasn't been making money for people who have been investing in it. It has been in the process of growth. Now, that's not where you want to be. You want also to go into something where you might actually earn something. For example, if you go and buy treasury bills or bonds, they are not really to make you rich or wealthy. Treasury bills or bonds or stocks and shares help rich and wealthy people park the money. I want to repeat that. Treasury bills, bonds, stocks, shares, they help the rich people park the money as they wait to put it in something they see that will actually earn a lot of money. So if you put, I usually do the simple math. If you put 1 million in treasury bills or bonds, you will always earn 1% per month. 1% per month of 1 million is 10,000 Ugandan shillings. Now, you will find it hard to compete with a person who has understood COVID very well. Remember, Ronald has been stressing, unlearn, learn, relearn. COVID has taught us that probably the only business that survived was food. A person who buys matoke, a bunch of matoke at 10,000 and sells that bunch at maybe 12,500, it means he's running at 25% in terms of return. You do not want to put money and only wait for 1%. That is for parking money. And also, you also need to know that when you're buying shares, when you're buying shares, when you're buying stocks, when you're buying treasury bills and bonds, you are an investor. By definition, an investor is someone who uses money they have already made. Now, if you've not already made the money, please do not go into investment. Go into a business. In the financial intelligence program we've been training at NSSF, I gave you the 4 quadrants. We start off as employees, then self-employed, then business people, then investors. Please don't jump from self-employment and go into investment. Let's go into business. When you go into business, you see that it's when you can start with little and over time it grows. With investment, when you put in little, you get little return. When you put in much, you get in a lot of return. That's why you see the people who are buying bills and bonds, they are using 100 million such that every month they make 1 million. Now for you, you don't have 100 million to enable you make 1 million. You're having 1 million and you're putting it into maybe bills and bonds or stocks or what. 1 million will bring you 10,000. Yet if I get 1 million and I look for a field which has survived in COVID, like food and energy, I'll be forced to reckon. The final thing was 7 streams of income. Isn't it too many? You must understand the capability God gave you. The capability God gave you was not ever to count the businesses, was to count how much you can do as a person. Can you believe Richard Branson has a hand in over 300 businesses? Trump is still a president of US, still having a hand in over 100 businesses. Look at the Mukwanos, look at the Wavas. You do not have to be like them now. But the idea is over time, you come using your abilities. Where you do not have abilities, you put money as an investor. Where you do not have abilities, you come as an advisor, as a freelance. But at the end of the day, the ventures are 7. I didn't have to start up a school. All I need is to go to Makerere and lecture. Even when they called me to lecture, I told them I do not have time. And they told me, talk to the students and harmonize the time. So I told the students, can you agree for this lecturer to come on Sunday morning? And they agreed. So when they agreed, I usually was appearing on Sunday morning and I was lecturing my master's students at Makerere doing information security. So the idea is, what you must think about is the 24 hours and how to walk slowly by slowly from one venture to another. When you master one, you walk into another. I mastered lecturing because I love talking. Now it is so easy for me to go into motivational speaking. Remember, I have been lending money for so long, so that lending can work, lecturing can work, motivational speaking can work. Then I realized I'm a good seller. How about selling land? So I picked and jumped into selling land. Then I was like, if I can sell land, can't I build for people houses? Then I started going into construction. So it is overtime. It is overtime to do all these ventures. Jean will help me add because she also was burning to answer that question. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Newton.
Jean, you muted.
Oh, I'm saying thank you very much, Newton. I will top up after Ronald has responded to the next questions because we are running out of time.
Thank you, Jean. I'll quickly touch on and build on what Newton has kind of shared. I think the first question I was asked was the first question I was asked was on this kind of I want to get a top up. Is it a good time? I think everyone, and Newton has made a good point, and especially when you are starting out. But there could be people who are business owners and they want a top up to kind of kickstart their business, which has possibly suffered during this period. Now, I think what is important as you consider this opportunity to possibly get a bit of credit. I think the times we have been in, most of our businesses in Uganda, there is no difference between your personal finances and the business finances. And I think the biggest challenge you're going to face as you look for that top up is to what extent is the top up for personal finances versus business finances. Because if your household is not keeping afloat and getting a loan to kind of keep it afloat, the question which you have to ask yourself is, have I made the necessary changes before I go for this credit? Because it is as though you have been digging a pit and now you are continuing the digging process by adding a credit line on it. So am I going to be able to dig, and am I going to continue digging if it's for personal finance? However, if you're taking the credit for your business, one of the things which is important is first consider fully what alternatives should I have before I actually walk into a bank to borrow this money. I'll give a good one. If you're in trade, you have to ask yourself, have I actually talked to my suppliers and can they give me an advance of goods without paying cash so that I can kickstart my business with that advance? Now, if your suppliers are not willing to give you that advance, is it because they don't have the stock, or is it because they don't trust you that you will pay back? If the answer is because they don't have the stock, then it's different. However, if it's a question of trust, then you have to evaluate yourself as a business owner and ask yourself, how do I get in a position where my top supplier is not supporting me in this difficult time? Because I should have built a reputation before this period came that allows me to be able to use that reputation as capital. So one of the capital you have now is that reputation. If you have had a good reputation amongst your customers, some of them can be able to even give you advance of money to kickstart your business before you look to the bank. Even the bank you go to, it is this reputation which they are going to take a gamble on. They are going to say, I think this person, with the exception of COVID, this person's business was running very well. So if we boost them, again, they will return to a good place. However, if your bank is also doubting, then you have to evaluate yourself as an individual. I think one of the things which COVID did is that it kind of brought out realities which already exist. If the business was already struggling, COVID might have killed it. But you have to go back even before COVID and ask yourself, why was my business struggling in the first place? And what things do I need to change? Because if you don't make those changes, possibly lifestyle changes, possibly changes in the way you manage your people, if you don't make those changes, there is no amount of support or credit which is going to be able to push you through this period. So as you think about a top up, I want you to make it an option which is a bit further down the road. You should ask yourself, can I go to my suppliers to support me? Can I go to my customers to support me? Can my family members stand with me in this period? Because everyone is going through a hard time, but you may have that one friend you have done business with who can give you a push during this period. But the only capital you have, or the only commodity you have, is actually your reputation. Then lastly, let me touch on increasing price. I think any business at this point, I know that the costs have gone up, and I mean taxi fares have gone up. A number of everyone is trying to squeeze the business which they have to make sure they keep afloat. However, I think this time one of the things which is absolutely important is to get revenue going again. I think at this point, even if you are not making a profit, but a sale is made, so that the process can start again, so that the wheels of the business can start running around. This is absolutely important. So you need to get the wheels of the business running again. So your customers are going to come to you and they are going to demand you for crazy discount. I know you gave me this item at 1 million shillings last year, but I want that same item at 800. Now, you might not be making a lot of money or even any money on it, but getting the wheels rolling is important so that the momentum of the business peaks. So in my opinion, before you look to increase your prices, ask yourself, have the wheels of the business started running again? Because all our businesses had slowed down to a halt in a very general level. So that means that you may have to, if you're a restaurant owner, you may have to give that meal at just 5,000 shillings, yet you know it should be, you are selling it at 15,000, but it is just getting the wheels rolling. So you tell the customers, you just come back into the restaurant and have a meal. There are tough times, but let us just have a meal so that we can be able to get started. So I think we are going to have to hold each other's businesses. Your suppliers, you hold them as they hold you, so that you get the wheels of the business, the wheels of the businesses running. So I think one of the things which is of absolute importance at this time for a business owner, even for you as an employee, you have to appreciate that the business needs to restart, and you have to kind of partner with your boss and say, let us get this thing rolling again. So there's going to be enormous sacrifice on every part. Bosses are going to sacrifice their profits so that they keep their staff members. Staff members are going to have to sacrifice hours to make sure that the business starts running again. So I think what is inevitable at this point is for all of us to get into a mode of, let us start working again. Let's go through that painful process. This year may not be about profit, it may just be about sales. You may go home and not celebrate that you have made a big profit, but you just celebrate that today 3 customers came. That's kind of the mode we are in. And as businesses restart and start moving again, we will inevitably see the momentum come. So it might be a period of getting the wheels going, not so much of kind of keeping the same level of profitability that you had. Now, this doesn't at all mean that you should crush your business by making losses, but to the extent you can, you should focus on just getting the business, the businesses will starting again, so that you can be able to walk through this period. Gina, I'll hand back to you.
Thank you so much, Ronald and Newton. I think it's a timely ending because we've run out of time. I want to confirm to our participants that we will share the video, and we will also pass on the questions that have not been answered to the panelists, so that when we get the feedback, we will forward it to the members. I think Apollo in the back end can collect the contacts, whoever asked the question, so that we don't take a lot of time from here. I would like at this moment, because we're out of time, to hand back to Apollo, and thank you so much for everyone who attended, and most especially our panelists who have kind of dissected the topic so well and changed my mind. Newton, I'm not forgiving you about my treasury bills. I think that we need to touch in ourselves and look at the way we're spending our money. Ronald, thank you so much about businesses, how we should run them, and the discipline we should have behind it. So it's been great hosting you, gentlemen. We should do this again soon. Apollo, over to you.
Thank you so much, Jean. Thank you so much, Newton. Thank you so much, Ronald. There's quite a lot of feedback coming in for all these guys. People are appreciating. There are those you have gotten into their bones. I've seen some you've gotten into their blood. A lot of it. Someone saying about mindset change. They're asking about these presentations. Just all this we are going to share. We shall be sharing these presentations. And as it has become the new normal, this is going to become a routine, but in our different groups. Today we met as an entire congregation. I saw at the peak we're about 200 and to about 35 at the peak, but we shall go back and meet in our age groups so that we discuss this money in our ages. We don't want to be discussing small things with young people. So we shall be discussing this in our ages. But before we leave, Gloria, there was a request that we cast the KYC poll. Please cast it as I invite NWealth. NWealth has been a partner in hosting this. I'll invite their CEO to use the next 2 minutes to just tell us about who they are and what they do in this bit. As I told you, our financial literacy and financial intelligence is about options. So they are one of the options that you could pick up in the market. I again emphasize this: we do not tie you to an option. We tell you go and find an option, but we try to bring them as close to you. Kindly do the voting as Simon uses the next 1 minute to wrap this up. We have one more poll to go.
Okay.
Simon.
Thank you, Apollo. Thank you, Jean. I've enjoyed the conversation. Gloria, if you can make me host so that I can share a screen just within the minute. Ronald, great learning. And Apollo, thank you for the opportunity. We are quite honored and privileged to partner with yourselves in this program. And just as your host, I just wanted to share with you in a brief what we do. We are Enwealth. We enable wealth creation. We are licensed by UBRA. We see that the customers we serve, we ensure that they have a dignified retirement life through our pension administration services that we provide. Presently, we do about 620 million US dollars, and we are in 3 countries: Uganda, Kenya, and Mauritius. We administer pension funds for about 50,000, and we have slightly in excess of 40 technical team members, ranging from legal, investment accounting, actuarial, and also training. And also, some of the key services then we do provide is medical insurance at retirement, fund administration, consulting in pension, and of course training, like what we have had today. We also have umbrella pension arrangement and also income drawdown arrangements. And maybe just to be back to what we have had to enjoy today, just to add in 1 or 2, is that in this COVID-19 situation, we are going to have victors, spectators, and victims. You may have to choose where to play, and whether you are a victor, a spectator, or a victim, it will have to do with your mindset, because resources have never been scarce, only resourceful minds are. And I end up with a quote here: the winners in this, like Warren Buffett will say, a market downturn doesn't bother us. It's an opportunity to increase ownership in a great company with great management at a good price, especially for those who may consider to invest in the stock market. And perhaps this is my closing question. If money was to be your spouse, I think Apollo will have this next. How will you describe the relationship? That's where I end. And should you want to contact us, I have our question, our contacts are there. We are on UAP Nakawa House, and those are our contacts. Should you want to reach us on email, on mobile, and also physical office location. Thank you so much. Back to you, Apollo. Appreciate, and thank you, Jean. Great facilitation and moderation. I have enjoyed myself and great learning. Appreciate.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you for that. Gloria, could you please cast our results as we go into our last poll? Gloria?
All right, just a minute. Simon, kindly pass the host. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone, for attending. It has always been our ritual to manage ourselves over time, and I promise you, you will be out of here by 5, as earlier told. As we wait for the results, can you cast the other poll, please? The last poll.
Gloria, kindly.
The last.
If you can.
I'm having issues. Just give me a minute.
Okay. In our various groups, in our various age groups, we can keep the questions coming, and we'll pick up these discussions. We are picking up most of these questions, and we are going to have replies come your way. The ones that are going specifically at Ronald, we are still we'll send them to Ronald. The one going to Newton, they will go to Newton. Those going to Jean or myself will have them answered, and then we'll share on our various groups. If you are here and you do not have a group of NSSF, you can kindly contact myself, Anne Maria, or myself or Anne Maria, and we can help you join one of these groups. Our groups are strictly for financial intelligence purposes. They are not for threatening people. They're not for spreading bad news and panic. It's strictly financial interest purposes. If you have nothing to share, you keep quiet. You don't have to keep telling people. If you don't share this message, you will die tonight. No, we don't threaten people. Gloria, let me know if you can cast the last poll in the next few, or we wrap it up at that point. The last poll will be.
I think she had a slight challenge which has now been resolved.
Okay.
She should now.
Could you please cast the last poll? It is an interesting one.
Yeah.
I would love to see the answers. And we'll wrap it up at that point.
Yeah.
Poll 3. What would you advise the government to on a stimulus package? What is your advice to the government on a stimulus package? Would you want to pay your NSSF 20%? Would you want them to institute a low interest package? Would you want food as food subsidy or any subsidies coming from the government? Or would you want a periodic pay as you earn waiver? A periodic, maybe 2 months, 3 months. What is it that you would require? What would you advise in your perspective as Minister of Finance in your own home? Kindly share with us in the next 20 seconds, 20, 15, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gloria, kindly close the voting and let's see what the answers are. 58% want a periodic pay as you earn waiver, followed by a 28% who want their NSSF now. I don't know what their age is. Followed by another 26%, they want low interest package. And then finally 21%, they want the beans and the milk, the powdered milk, reach their homes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I leave this for further discussion at your groups. You've been a very, very good audience. Thank you and have a blessed evening. Those are the results.
Thank you so much, Apple.
Yes.
And for the organizer.
Gloria, we can close the meeting now.